Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude. And I know it's a little late, but this is going to be a 2019 wrap-up video. So first, let me talk a little bit about my 2018 preview video, or my 2019 preview video. The kits that I had planned on getting done. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown. I'd started the end of 2018 the TACOM M3 Lee Mid, and I was planning on finishing that up for 2019. I had the 148 scale Tamiya F4F-4, which was going to be a beginner series kit for just basic build and paint with no weathering. Then I had a 1/35 scale Tamiya Jagdtiger, the really old one. My brother had given it to me. He'd had it in storage, and I plan on finishing that and using it as an exercise for Zimmerit application. Then I wanted to finish up the Bronco Stug 3 that I had started as a buddy build with Peter Person. If I remember correctly, it was all built. I just needed to get into the paint and all that kind of stuff. Then I wanted to do the 148 scale monogram, the old white box monogram Messerschmitt ME262. I wanted to do that, and that was going to be an exercise in panel line detail. Then I had a Tamiya 1/35 scale Jeep, just plain old military Jeep with a driver that I got from Peter Person. He had started it, so I was going to finish it up, get it painted, and do an exercise in extreme muddy weathering. Then I had the older 1/35 scale Italeri M47 Patton, and that one my plan was to paint it up in German gray like the M47s that were used as King Tigers in the old 60 something film Battle of the Bulge. Then I had the 1/35 scale Italeri M47 Patton. I wanted to do that, and I was going to do a different color scheme on that one. Then the Dragon 251/17 that I got from HG Barnes. That was on the lineup of stuff I wanted to get done. I wanted to finish up a Dragon OT3476 that I had started for a group build. I wanted to finish that one up with some whitewash practice for another kit, which was the one that's next, which is the Dragon Stug 3 Georg Bosa. I think I pronounced that right. His specific Stug 3. So that was going to work on the T34 and the whitewash to get some practice, because the Stug 3 needed that particular paint scheme for the person that utilized that vehicle during the war. Then I had the Dragon Magach 1 and 2, which is an Israeli tank based off of the M48 Patton, and my intention was to do that as a Vietnam era US vehicle, because it has all the stuff there to do it. I just have to get some as a matter of fact, I did download some instructions for the Vietnam version. So let's see. Then I wanted to do the Asuka M4A3 76 wet. I got that one kind of late-ish in the year, and I dig my Sherman, so I was going to do that one. And that's pretty much it. That was my plan for 2019. So how did I do? Well, here's what I actually got done, or partially done, in 2019. I started the Revell A10 Warthog. I've had that one since the 90s. My dad gave it to me. 1/48 scale kit. It's an older mold. The detail isn't the best. It's a lot of raised detail where it should be recessed and stuff like that, and just older stuff and old molds, so there's a little bit of flash and stuff like that. But overall, the shape and the dimensions are supposed to be pretty much the best as far as 1/48 scale kits. It just takes some extra work. So I ordered a little aftermarket, and that's going to be an ongoing project. I don't even expect to get it done this year because I want to take my time on it and just do a really nice job in memory of my pop, since that was his favorite aircraft. I also started the King Tiger Porsche turret, I know that's incorrect, version that Patrick Schaefer sent to me. Very, very nice kid. And I started that one last year. It's got the full interior, the whole thing, and that's going to be kind of an extended length of time. I'll work a bit on it. You know, it's very complex, and I don't want to burn out because there's a lot of painting, a lot of pre-planning that needs to go on for different things. So I'm taking it like a segment at a time. So, for instance, I did the interior of the hull, got that completely built, completely painted, and the decals. So now all I have to do is weather it, and then I can move on to the next part. So I set that one aside for a little bit. So when I come back to it, and I've already got the box on the desk, I'll start weathering the interior of the hull. Then I'll button it all up. Then I'll move on to the next segment. Then I have I started an old Lindbergh 1/72nd-ish scale Heinkel 111, and it's a really old kit. It's like inaccurate as all kinds of get out from what I've read and heard, but I'm mainly doing it as an exercise and doing some panel line work, and the primary objective is going to be, once I get it all built and ready to go, I want to do it as a Plastic Models for Beginners series on painting Luftwaffe aircraft, okay, and some of the stuff involved in the complexities and the never-ending debate on colors and stuff like that. So that one, I got that started and it's pretty much built. There's a few more things I need to do, and then I'll be able to start on that that paint series for the channel. So those are the ones that I started. Now the ones that I actually started and completed, so if we look back, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 kits that I wanted to, that's one a month that I wanted to complete last year. Well, let's just say didn't even come close. Didn't even make it to the halfway point. A lot of things changed in the Plastic Dude house. I got some grandchildren, 2 of them, 2 granddaughters, so I like to spend a lot of time with them. Had a couple extra bodies living in the house for a while, so our, you know, as you can see, from last year, my last, you know, year-end review, preview video, things were changing here. Don't have the room I had. It's not just as convenient to make videos, not as convenient to just get in here and work. So I got a total of 5 kits done. The first one was the M3 Lee by TACOM. I did finish that one. It's a great kit. I did a build series on that, so you can watch that if you want to hear the details, but it was a really good kit. I didn't have any trouble with it other than the tracks take a lot of focus, a lot of fitting, refitting, test fitting, and everything else, just to make sure it's just so you don't get kinks in the tracks. You know, sometimes you'll see a kink on the Lincoln length tracks where it comes down, like say from the idler down to the first or last bogey wheel, and instead of it curving around that bogey wheel, it kind of goes and you have like a kink. So I was able to avoid that. Just took a lot of work, but it was a really good kit. Had a lot of fun with it. The F4F-4 Wildcat by Tamiya in 1/48 scale. Awesome kit. That one was kind of a spur of the moment deal. I was at the local hobby shop getting some other stuff, and I generally don't do this. I go in and get what I need and leave. I know it's kind of weird. It's hard for some people, but I can do that. And I saw it on the shelf, and I thought, you know what? I want to do that. And a bingo, an idea came to mind. And I was able to complete that one. Got the complete build, the complete paint job, and everything done. Did the build series on the YouTube, the whole shooting match. So this year, at some point, I'll do the actual weathering how-to kind of thing. But I did complete that kit the way I wanted to because I had intended on doing the weathering at a later date anyway. The Italeri M47 in 1/35th scale, the older kit. I got that one complete. That one was kind of a different one for me because I wanted to do it in the colors and markings of Colonel Hessler's tank, command tank, or whatever you want to call it, from the 1960-something film Battle of the Bulge. As a kid, I thought that was great. There was tanks in it, and I didn't care if they weren't real King Tigers. They were tanks, and there was lots of them. So I really dug it. So that's the way I built this one. Muddied it up a bit. Had to hand do all of the markings on it. But it was a really fun kit, and I got it done. Then the M48. So I had intended on doing that as a Vietnam vehicle, but Steve Mottram and Sean Deary had a group build, IDF group build, and it was anything Israeli Defense Force. And I thought, hey, I've only done one before in my life anyway. Last year I did a Merkava, however you pronounce it, one from Tamiya, their old kit, and I enjoyed it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it as the Magok 1 or 2. And that's what I did, and I actually got that one finished. It's a really good kit. Unusually for me, I didn't have much trouble with the Dragon instructions. For the 2 different versions you can do, the instructions were pretty good about keeping, if you're doing this version, you do this version, you do that. It was actually pretty good. So I enjoyed that build, got it done way in advance of the deadline for the group build. Then the last kit I got completed, Matt Hill wanted to talk to me via Messenger, I believe, and asked if I would be interested in kind of co-hosting with him a Peter Persson tribute build. Peter Persson's one of our friends on YouTube and Facebook from Sweden. He had some health issues twice, leukemia, that he fought through both times. So we just he came up with the idea to do a group or a buddy build or a tribute build in honor of Peter because of the stuff he's gone through. And I was like, hey, that sounds great. So what it was since he's from Sweden, Peter is, we decided that anything that was used by Sweden, built in Sweden, whatever, was fair game. So I mean, it could be a Saab, it could be any of the jets that they did. The can't remember the name of it. It's a something 103. It's a tank that they made over there. Anything like that. So what I did is I used the newer tooled Airfix P51D, and I did it in Swedish markings. And it was like my 3rd aircraft in bare metal finish, and I also did a totally different thing by puttying up all the panel lines and rivets and stuff, except for removable panels on the wing surfaces like the real P51s are. And did it in Swedish markings. So that was a pretty fun kit, and I actually got that one done. So that's everything I got done for the year. So at the end of the video, I'll tack on a quick slideshow with just a single photo each from those 5 kits, and let you take a look at what I completed. So let me change the camera angle, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the new stuff I got for the year, which isn't much, or new stuff that I tried. Okay, for this last year, the only really new stuff that I got that I haven't had before, that I was trying out. Number one, I'll talk about this. This is Bondic, and what it is, a lot of you may already know, but it's a glue that you apply from this little syringe type tip. And let me see if I can illustrate it here on something without being too crazy. Just gotta find something scrappy here. A piece of cardboard will work. So basically what you do is you apply the glue, and it's somewhat thin, so you know you can control how much goes on there. It's kind of thick. You put it on there, and then using this handy dandy little ultraviolet light here, you can either just push the button or you can just turn it on and use ultraviolet light. I think it's supposed to be for like 8 seconds, and it cures that like super quick. Let's see. And the nice thing about it is yeah, see, hard as a rock already. Look at that. So it's really cool. It has some good applications, and it can also be sanded. Now I think it's a little bit harder than plastic, so you kind of have to be careful that you don't get too crazy, but it can be sanded. So I guess it'd be kind of like being able to sand cyanoacrylate, you know, super glue. But the nice thing is, I used it a couple of times for just to experiment, really. I mean, I'd normally use sprue goo, but you can use it for filling in ejector pin marks in hard to reach places, and if you're careful with it, you know, kind of level out a little bit, and you can kind of manipulate it to where it's as flat as possible, and then hit it and dry it, and boom. So it acts kind of as a filler, but it also acts as an adhesive, and for some things it's really good. Now, a lot of things that, you know, wouldn't work that great, but I wanted to try it out. As a matter of fact, I made this little box to put some of my stuff in, and I used it to glue all these dividers in, and it's just cool because, you know, it dries that quick, and it's not like super glue where, you know, when you put it in place and it dries quick without anything else going on. So if you don't have it lined up right, then you're kind of messed up. Well, this, you can get it all lined up or whatever, hold it in place, make sure it's exactly perfect, and then boom, hit it with the light, done. So it's kind of cool. It has some applications for modeling, but also for lots of other things too. Oh, let's see. Something else I got new this year, and I'm going to be using it on the King Tiger, is the newer German tricolor paints from Tamiya. You got dark yellow 2, dark green 2, and red brown 2. They're a little bit different than, like, see, this is the regular dark yellow. It's a little bit lighter, as you can see there. And I hate turning my bottles upside down because I don't like getting paint on the lids. But and then the red brown, you know, it's a little bit lighter and not quite the reddish tinge that the old regular XF64 red brown has. So that's 90, 88, and then the dark green, same thing. It's just a little bit different in that it's supposed to duplicate the colors a little bit better for German armor, and a little bit more, because apparently later on in the war, for late war stuff, apparently later in the war, the colors were a little bit different. The yellow was a little bit different than, you know, earlier on, which would be the regular XF60. So I'm going to be using that on the King Tiger since those were late war vehicles. So I got that. Then H.G. Barnes, my good friend H.G. Barnes, sent me a couple of bottles of paint for the King Tiger build. One of them is Extreme Metal Gold by AK, which I've never used. And this GSI Krios Mr. Metal Color Dark Iron. Now, this one, I had to paint the shells, okay, for the King Tiger, and I have in my paint stash here, which isn't very big, I don't even know where it is, but I have gold in the Vallejo Model Color line, but you know, the acrylic golds, just don't seem to work that great for me. So I was planning on using the old Testors enamel gold, but I would have had to either brush paint it or whatever. But this here I was able to spray, and it worked out really well. The color is really good. It's easy to use. It's enamel, so it didn't clog up my airbrush. Here's an example right here of the gold. You know, so it looks really good. So then, in addition to that, he sent me the dark iron. So I'm gonna use it for weathering and stuff like that, but I also used it for the shell casings on the other ammo. And the nice thing about it is, you spray that stuff on, and then you burnish it. You can either use a Q-tip, you can use a rag, or whatever. And you can kind of control, I mean, I was able to kind of control the sheen that I got, depending on how much I polished it. Now, I polished it with just a regular old Q-tip or cotton bud, whatever you call it in your part of the world, and that made it nice and polished. But then I used the Tamiya modeling specific cotton buds, where the cotton part is really a lot stiffer than on a regular, you know, type that you'd use in your ear or whatever. And I was able to get a whole lot more shine out of it by using this. So it's kind of cool. You can kind of control, I don't know if it's intentional, but it works. You can kind of control the sheen that you get, and it looks really good on those shells, and it'll work really good on some of the weathering and stuff like that. I mean, I figured it'll be really good on like machine gun barrels, stuff like that. So that was really cool. And he also sent me, H.G. Barnes, this UMM USA SCR-1 Scriber. Now, I've been meaning to try one of these forever, and I just never have. And he sent me one, and this thing is phenomenal. I mean, it works really, really good. You can use it for scraping down lines, like seam lines and stuff like that, and then obviously you can use it for scribing. And man, this just makes it's. I was kind of afraid that it's kind of thick, and I was afraid that it would be like hard to make a nice panel line, but it works really good. And I was able to do some nice, like replacing raised panel lines with recessed panel lines. I just got a piece of Tamiya masking tape taped right along the edge of the existing raised panel line, and then just very gently started. And it's sharp enough that you don't have to put a lot of pressure and like mangle the tape and risk slipping out. With just very little practice, I mean, by the time I use this a bunch of times, I think I'll be able to do, you know, a really good job with it. But it does a really good job of making panel lines. So HG, if you're watching this, thanks a lot. This was a really, really useful thing, and it's really, really going to come in handy. Was some new decal solutions. Now, normally I use the decal set by Testors because I can get it here for $1.99 at Hobby Lobby. I use that, put it on the model, slide the decal on, use a you know, a Q-tip or whatever, smash the fluid out from underneath, make sure there's no bubbles, and then I use Solvaset decal setting solution on top of that to get it to really stick and to really conform to surface detail. It's worked great, never had a problem with it. But I always hear people talking about the Microscale Industries Microsol and Microset. So I was placing an order for something else, for that paint, as a matter of fact, that Tamiya paint. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. It wasn't that much, and I want to try it and see what all the hoopla is about it, because a lot of people really like it. So I tried it. Now, the thing I tried it on probably wasn't the best thing, because I tried it on the P51 in Swedish markings. And the decals I got were like, I talk about it in the build series of that P51, but they're really thick. They got this weird texture to them, And for life of me, I could not get those things to conform very well. Not even with this. And this stuff is like bulletproof. As far as I know, it's the strongest setting solution there is. And the decal, I just did not like it. They're really thick. From what I've read and seen on their website, they're really popular with the civilian aircraft crowd. Well, generally those kind of aircraft, you know, like say airliners and stuff, like, for the most part, have a way smoother surface, so you don't have to worry about conforming to panel lines and rivets and, you know, access panels and stuff as much as you do on, say, a World War II 148 scale aircraft. So that's what I tried this on, and it, you know, it probably worked as well as the Solvaset did, but I'll be messing around with it some more. And I really don't have any doubts, because a lot of my trusted sources throughout the modeling world really swear by this stuff, so I'm sure it works great. And it's just, you know, on a whim, I wanted to try something different. So that's basically it on the stuff that I got new this year. So there you have it. That is 2019 in review. Didn't get as much done as I had hoped or wanted to, but, you know, being distracted by grandkids, that's kind of a nice distraction. It was a lot of fun. So, but with the coming year, things will be changing up a bit. The job's going to slow down as far as some of the real complex stuff we've got going around here, and so that should mellow out, leave me some free time. Living arrangements with people in the house is changing up due to various reasons that I may talk about in the future. It's all really great and good stuff, so, you know, nobody's getting kicked out because they're deadbeats or anything like that. But that's it for now. That's for 2019. So at the end of the video here, I'll tack on one photo of each of the kits I got done. So you can comment down below. I appreciate all the comments. That's one thing, there's been a lot of comments and interaction going on over the last year, and I appreciate it. It's fun. I enjoy talking to people, going back and forth, answering questions. There's been a lot of really good questions about some of the different things, you know, as far as builds or my CO2 airbrushing rig, stuff like that. So it's been really good. The dumb comments haven't been too bad. But, you know, I take them for what they are, and I try and spin them positively. You know, life's too short to get all bent out of shape about dumb stuff like, you know, YouTube videos. So, you know, if people want to throw some stuff that can come off as negative, that's fine. You know, I'll answer the question or I'll comment on it, but I'm not going to be a jerk about it. So, anyway, thanks to all of you who participate. I really appreciate it. The poll I did, people participating in that, suggestions for what kit to build next, stuff like that. It's all really good. So I really appreciate it. To all my viewers, thanks a ton. I'm getting close to 2,000 subscribers. It's not as much as most channels on the YouTubes, but you know, people are watching my stuff, so that's cool. I don't do it just for, you know, showing anything off. I try and be helpful if possible, and it seems to be working. So anyway, that's it for now. Stay tuned. I will be coming back in maybe a week or so, hopefully, with a preview of 2020 and see if I can do a little bit better. Maybe I won't be quite so unrealistic in what I want to get completed. Maybe I'll be a little more realistic. You know, a kit a month, that's a stretch. But anyway, I'll talk about it, and I've got some really different stuff coming up as far as kits. So if you want to throw down in the bottom, you know, what you think it might be, that'd be great. I'm just kind of curious what people think I would do that's totally out of the ordinary and out of my comfort zone for my next kit. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now on my desk. So stay tuned, people. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.